All right, guys, before we get going, you know what we got to do. We got to give a huge shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Thank you to Tony, Starla, Luke, Jacob, Jeff, Adam, Chuck, and Justin. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. It means the world to Luke and I. Guys, on this episode 177, we're bringing back the man that had one of the funniest lines I think a lot of people have heard, a lot of people talk about, but the eat shit piss brown story. That's right. My father, Vic Wirhowski, is with us today for episode 177. We're going to be talking about just a change in the company and, just talking about all that because we all know, and we've talked about it before on here, that things have gone downhill. Not just the stock, but other things have also gone downhill with this company as well.
Sorry.
Guys, episode 177. Here we go. We got to this one address. I said, this one goes around back. He went around back, boom, drove off, left them right at the stop.
That was after getting hit by a car.
You got hit by a car?
I ended up drinking 24 Bud Lights in about 48 minutes. Drunken nomad stumbles out in the road and he hit me going 30 miles an hour.
What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining us on another episode of All in the Delivery. This is episode 177, and we got a good one for you guys today. As we're recording this, it's early. You guys know we record these early, but as you're listening, peak season just started, and I hope everybody's doing great. So to start this one off, let's go around the table, shall we? Introduce to you guys my co-host down in West by Virginia, Luke. How are you, buddy?
I feel like I have to say this because it's a pre-recorded episode, and hopefully when it comes out that I can chuckle at this a little bit harder. But I'm going to give it a little story for you before we get started. As you know, and I've mentioned it before on here, my work car is a '97 Buick LeSabre, and it was my grandmother's car, and It had one owner and still right now has like 106,000 miles. Runs solid. I'm actually worried that it's probably going to outlast my newer Jeep, and I didn't really plan for that to happen. But anyway, being in 97, long story short, I have to get some stuff worked on, nothing major, and the last thing I had to get repaired on it, I was getting done sparring, and I had to go to Walmart to pick up just basic essentials, wipes, diapers, stuff like that. And I forget exactly what it was. It wasn't like an expensive fix, but the Buick that day died, just crapped out on me. And I'm in Walmart parking lot. I push the Buick, and as you know, when a car is shut off, it's very hard to maneuver. It's hard to stop as well because the brakes are locked. I ended up getting this thing kind of out of the way and put it up where there was no parking spaces, but I didn't have it in the lines. I wasn't in a good mood, obviously, anyway, and I went in, came back out in about 7 minutes, and I was calling to get a tow. I had one of those cards in my window. It said, "Learn how to park. 5-year-old knows how to stay between the lines." And to say I was, in that moment, was I pissed? Oh, I was pissed. Anyway, fast forward, a little bit more recent, and there's this Facebook group called Sleazy Car Parkers of West Virginia, and there's like 17,000 people in this group. It's a very large one, and I just felt like sharing this story with some of those people because it was one of them things that just popped up, my algorithm, my phone listening to me type thing. And I decided to, chirp a little bit to the people in this group about not, pinpointing, trying to fight the internet. And I deleted 2 posts because I finally said, what am I doing? I can't be fighting, arguing with these people because I was getting mad, and then I let it go. Had a good day. It was a productive day. It was nice enough, like I was saying earlier, that Willow and I were able to stay outside pretty much all the afternoon, and it was a really good Saturday. But I was in the morning, early morning, I was a little perturbed. So I hope listening to this, and I'm good now, but I'm just saying when I hear this about a month from now, I hope I can really just say, yeah, glad I took the high road. I can't help it. Dave knows. When we came back for the YouTube episodes, we took a little break where we didn't record, and we came back for the last contract, and to say it was a controversial thing on TikTok is an understatement. I tried to argue with everybody. I've gotten a lot better, but anyways, because it's a pre-recorded episode, I felt like I had to share that. But I'm excited for this one. I'm glad to have Vic back on, and a lot more questions that I have, and some of the past ones that we've talked. I'm good. I'm ready. It was a good week.
Good. Yeah, for me, as we're recording, that we're talking early November, Saturday, November 8th to be exact, actually. I finally started my new route out there in New Paltz. And, dude, like, to say, like, relieved, I think is even, like, an understatement, just being out there. Like, I don't want to sound, like, cheesy, but, like, it really just felt right. Like, my first day out there, I was like, this is it. And the guy that was previously out there, he was out there, I think he said, for like 23 years. So, I have less than that till I retire. And, am I going to be on there for another 19? Maybe. Yeah, if this guy did it, there's obviously something right about it, if he stuck around for that long. So I'm looking forward to it and what's to come out there. And, yeah,
I will say if he said that sounded cheesy, I'll add even more to the cheesiness on my end, so you're not alone on that. I can say it was to hear, like, the man was upbeat and just sounded so like you're back. It's like you went back home, man. And I'm happy that you got the route, because it is, I know we'll have a few more episodes in between this, but when we talked about it recently, I was trying to compare it to tell people that aren't in our line of work how that can be. It can be a make or break thing. So yeah, to be on a route you appreciate, and a route a quote unquote retirement route. Yeah, that's one to try to hang on to for sure. But yeah, I could definitely tell he was definitely a lot more upbeat. And they did it. It's kind of dragging you along, man. So it's good. They finally. We were jokingly saying, that it would be 2026, but they at least got you in before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, wait till after peak to move me. Yeah, I'm happy. But anyways, yeah. So we got a fun episode here, guys, and right alongside me here, joining us is my father, past guest of the show, long time ago, Vic Wirhowski.
Hey, good to see you, Luke. Good to be with you, Dave.
Thank you. Looking forward to this one, because we were just talking off air about how, one of our questions of the week recently was about, when did the company start to change? And, really start, when did stuff start to go down, whether that be service, whether that be, service obviously is the main thing with this, right? We could even go into safety, taking a backseat as well. Even that, with the way Orion is and all that stuff now too is, I forgot what it said, dude. Like, wasn't there somebody that said something that, like, it was all, I can't remember.
I can say
anyways,
my
I'll
first
forget about
accident.
That. No,
sorry.
It was about how, it was all about first how, now in this day and age with the company, all it matters is profits, like profits over safety or profits over service. You know, like that's what it's all about now. And, you know, there's so many things that made UPS stand out above the rest, where now it's an even playing field, if not lower.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not this. I'm.
You know, it's profits above everything right now. Like
It is. I'll just say this. I'll because we'll get like. I'll just say this to you, Vic. Think about when you like all the times of your career. Would you ever have thought that just as far as say, like I don't know when we've talked about it, Dave, but you know, like the next day airs, the overnights that come in the preload or the early sort, you know, at the end of that shift. The overnights that we deliver, there would be times that it would be delayed and it wouldn't get to our building till, you know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And there would be people that would come in, if it was air drivers, that would shuttle out the air, you know, take a truck and fill up different, you know, separate it and go out and shuttle out the air. Of course, that would be a big pain in the ass because you would have to backtrack a lot. But you know, it is what it is. That's what we did.
Backtrack.
So now there is times that it's been delayed where our start time, it's like 15 minutes after our start time, and we don't even they don't even try to process it. And that to me seems insane because I never thought, like, think about that.
Like tomorrow's another day.
Like it's going to arrive 15 minutes after start time. They're not going to. They don't keep you anymore, and that's everywhere. That's
right. I can remember meeting. I can remember meeting air drivers at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, if it came in at 2, 3 o'clock, they would still get it out, and then the drivers, like you said, would have to backtrack. You know, go even right back to the first stop of the day, you know, to deliver an overnighter. It was never held at the building. Never. Not back in the day.
Yep.
I know that's the one that still
Yeah, and even I remember that too. I mean, that goes back to, you know, that was probably 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, I mean, just simple stuff like that too.
Well, it's funny you said 6 years ago because that was almost around the time of the regime change.
Oh yeah, the regime. Yeah, right. And that was another thing that people were even saying too, with like the question of the week that we had was like someone was like, "Oh, what did it happen when the CEO, when the new CEO took over? You know, is that when stuff started going downhill as well?" And so, you know, there was a couple different responses, whether it be CEO change, whether it be when the company went public, whether it be you know, like after COVID, because all of a sudden, you know, they panicked, hired all these new drivers, and like they forgot everything.
Right. Well, see, when we were talking before we got on the air, the thought that came to my mind is like, I can't pinpoint like one specific event that caused, you know, UPS to start not being the premium company, you know, that it was back in the 70s and 80s. But it was a slow deterioration of the company. And I thought about it, and it's like when you go out into the ocean and you go to play in the waves, and you know you're having a good time, but you don't even realize you're slowly drifting from the original point of where you started. You know, next thing you know, you look up and you're, you know, whatever, maybe a couple hundred yards or even a quarter mile further down the shoreline than where you went into the water, right? So it's a slow drifting, and you don't even realize it. And to me, I think that's how it appears to happen, you know, where it was just slowly one thing and then another and then another, and next thing you know, we're just like everybody else, or even less than some of the other delivery companies. Yep. And what used to set us apart is, our service and our appearance standards. No one had better service than we did. No one had a better on-time next-day air than UPS did. No one. No one looked sharper than the UPS man or woman. Can't say that anymore.
No, and I could even say.
I mean, I even had somebody say that to me. Like,
well, they said.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say because my the I could be fair. Half of my facial hair was always. The mustache was always allowed, but I could never do. I didn't grow this until COVID happened, and then when the mask came. But I will say though, I think the appearance thing trickled. To me, it seems like that's when it trickled into everything else, and because COVID didn't. I've said this to Dave too. Like COVID screwed up a lot of. Because that was when everything, at least here, that was when like a signature required became a COVID signature. You could just leave it, sign it, go. You weren't going to get in trouble because it was COVID time. And just even I feel like David said, with kind of hiring more drivers in a panic nationwide, that a lot of those drivers, now they're 5-year drivers, or 5 years or under or around that, and that was all. The COVID signature thing lasted so long that's kind of what they knew, and I feel like that's when that's when it got. I feel like that's when it really got lax with things, because there's stuff that of just non-deliveries of sheeting. No such numbers. I mean, I could tell you stories that you'd be mind blown how they didn't get fired. But it's that I think COVID for me was when it seemed to. I noticed that because nobody would get in trouble because you just could do whatever because it was COVID. Nobody was allowed to, But it definitely was. So I wanted to ask you though before we go on with CEOs. Do you remember how many CEOs you were at UPS during your career? Do you know that offhand, like the number of them?
No, I don't. But I don't believe it was over 30 years. I don't. I mean, you could probably Google it,
I'm on it.
right? And I think that's what David's doing. I was there from 1985 to 2015.
So that would have been. I was trying to think. I think there's been 3 since I've started, and I can't remember. And honestly, I didn't know their names. Do you know? Oh, I see you looking it up. Okay.
I got them all right here. Yeah, I got them all right here. You have you started in 85?
Yep.
So you had John Rogers from 84 to 89. Then from 89 to 96, it was Kent Nelson. And then, there's been a lot.
Wow.
And then from 97 to 2001, it was James Kelly. From 2002 to 2007, it was Michael Eskew.
I started.
From 08 to 14, it was Scott Davis. And then from 2014 to 2020, it was David Abney.
Wow.
Scott Davis was the one that I knew.
I've only heard
So
about,
you got 1,
3 or
2,
4 of them.
3, 4, 5, 6. You had 6.
6, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was 6 CEOs through his time, to answer your question.
So it really.
You were not here for Carol.
No. I mean, it just seems to be. It makes me wonder if it's more of the time, but I mean, she is the one that's calling the shots on it, and it was. I was trying to think, and it was 6 CEOs, and it didn't really. It was still slow, so that definitely people. I feel like was, and I don't know this 100% either, but I think she was the first one though that was straight off a board of directors that had never all the other CEOs. I think had some affiliation with UPS of some kind. Like that wasn't just a board thing. So that I don't know if that might have played a part with 6 CEOs coming in, that if they all just, I don't know. That's still too. I don't want to say it's too early to tell, but again, going back to COVID, we made record profits but we could have been sitting in that seat with all the deliveries we were making. But anyways, I'll move on.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like I was going to say too, even I've had, you were talking about best dressed in the industry, too. Like I even had someone say that to me when I was out there in Germantown. One of the customers was like, see, look at that. He's got a nice collared shirt on. And they were talking about the FedEx guy that just showed up looking like they just came out of bed.
Right.
They got pajama pants on, all that stuff. And I show up with fully brown shorts, collared shirt, and it's just, and I still got the compliment too, because her and her husband must have been talking about it or something earlier that day. And she talked about my appearance there when I was right there and, handed them the package.
Yeah. Well, back in our day, they definitely held the drivers to a higher standard of appearance. And, if you didn't meet that standard, you were either told to go back up to the locker room and try again, or they would send you home and have somebody cover your route. They just didn't put up with, multicolored socks when you're wearing shorts. I was telling David about a driver in Virginia Beach I saw, had this long, scraggly beard. Now, I have nothing against facial hairs, and whether that was UPS's decision to make, not mine. But this guy's beard was just unkept. It was definitely not well groomed at all. And then there was another driver driving down the road with a cigar, in his mouth while he's driving the package car, and that's where it is now. And back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Oh my gosh, you would have gotten a warning letter or
See,
whatever.
At that time too, though,
was not
at that
tolerated.
time too, though, because I agree with you that multicolored socks and stuff that's too extreme. If we were supposed to wear, I basically what I do is I have high top boots that I've always worn. So if I don't have UPS socks, even if I have them on, you don't see them anyway because my boots are so high. But I feel like union wise though, it would have been nobody would back it was to say the time period, a different era. It makes me almost think, and this we could even say this goes with you guys didn't have fans. I mean, fans in the truck. We're talking about AC now. You guys didn't even have the fans.
Right. Well, right. That came. That came 5 years before I retired. Yeah. Yeah. So we had them in the 2000s. 10, 2011, 12, whatever. But yeah, it was only 3 or 4 years before, and then I left.
But I feel like it goes to just.
Yeah, but we didn't have air conditioning like you all are promised.
We have 2 trucks. We've got 2 trucks here that have because our building, we don't have those cameras, the ones, the Linux cameras that I was going to say Dave Center and every other pretty much center in the country. I always say that they probably sent them to Virginia Beach because they forget West Virginia's a state. They're just we've put these two with the two new trucks. The first one didn't have it, but our newest one has the camera in it, so they definitely know where we're located. They're just not installing them, I guess, with all of them. But the new but like with the GP, I mean, that just like GPS. You were driving standard vehicles with no power steering, and I try to tell
Right.
Just a lap belt.
Yeah.
I try to tell some of like the drivers now about I said I don't think you appreciate having power steering in an automatic, because in some of them old standards, if you weren't moving, you couldn't turn the wheel. Like you weren't just sitting there and able to turn that wheel. You're
Right.
giving it all you
Right.
had to do that. But it just, I don't know. But like, so yeah, there wouldn't have been anybody in that time period calling that harassment either. And I feel like that would be a thing now. Like your union wouldn't have, like they would have just said, yeah, change your socks probably. And that's the way it should be. There should be some stuff that, and I'd said this on a couple previous episodes, so I won't get back into it, but I did go to a union meeting here recently, and there's some stuff. It wasn't within UPS. It was another company that's under our local, but it made me,
Yep.
I still think that there's got to be a middle. I feel like common sense still needs to be made. These guys all got their jobs back, but I'll just go ahead and say it. I think I brought it up then. They weren't wearing their seatbelts, and the cameras, they have cameras like we do, but they are inward facing as well. And they were able to not get fired because they can't get the discipline through technology. It's got to be seen by management. And I was sitting there thinking about that. I'm like, as a professional driver, somebody you drive all day, wear your seatbelt. Like what? You know what I mean? Like what are you doing? So I think that that's why I could never be a shop steward, but I feel like some of that, yeah, different era, both sides. But anyways.
Yeah. And I get evolution, and, you have to change with the times and all that, because back when I first started, we had shoe shine boxes at the center, where if if a supervisor came by and didn't like your shoes, which had to be black or brown and polishable, if he didn't like the way the shine looked, he'd tell you, go shine your shoes. So I get where, we're not, now we're wearing sneakers, black sneakers and stuff like that. But, because, you're on your feet, your feet are taking a pounding day in and day out. So I understand how we've gotten away from some things, but, not to let the pendulum swing completely the other way.
Right.
With multicolored socks, and letting you go on the road with multicolored socks, a beard that's not kept up, and
But yeah, like
a
now,
cigar hanging from your mouth. Yeah.
but like now too, like the shoe shine's like not even a thing anymore. Like it's like they don't have to be.
We don't
shine
even have
anymore.
one.
I don't even
We
think we have one in our building anymore.
Sorry, we
Yeah.
had one, but we don't have one anymore.
We used to.
Yeah, they don't even have them anymore. Can't speak for everywhere, but where we're at.
Yeah, not even in the. It's crazy. It's crazy. But then, like, even like, what about even people showing up with like wrinkly shirts? Like, was that ever a thing?
Oh yeah.
Like-
they had extra shirts up in the locker room hanging on on hangers.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, if they didn't like yours, or like if you wore a shirt that was maybe one or two sizes too small for you, and your buttons are barely holding on, for dear life, they'd make you change your shirt. Yeah, it was about appearance back then. That was service and appearance, and that's what those two things set us apart from everybody else. Yep.
Yep.
So now I don't know if it's just an attitude where we don't want to be set apart. I don't know. And that's for upper management and, the board of directors, CEO, and right on down to figure out,
I don't understand.
Or maybe they're worried about offending,
It makes me wonder because
It's definitely about offending.
yes.
Like, I feel like it's about like, like it's probably about like, not discriminating
right.
against people and the way they look.
Yeah. Back in my time, you could have a beard only for religious reasons. So, like if they hired a Hasidic Jew or whatever, they were allowed to have beards. But that's it. Now, some of the women, maybe they needed to be told to go shave, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh shit, that's funny.
Because some of those, anyway. I don't want to offend.
Man, it's
Anyway,
it definitely is a different time. But I will say, as far as like that was right before it became, we had a couple people that had caught. Well, so what had happened is we had a driver that had, I don't know if it was like he had a thing where he had got a letter from the dermatologist that said he had some type of like skin condition. So to like, he could, obviously he would keep his beard trimmed, but it was a thing of like Bic shaving his face, like shaving it with a razor would irritate it or whatever. And they let him grow a beard. And then so people started digging into that. And that's when we found out that was literally probably a year before they made the rule with facial hair anyway. But yeah, we had probably like 4 drivers after that do the religious exemption thing. And they had a little pushback at first, but they were, right. Yeah, it was, I can remember how big of a stir up that was. And at that point I was completely shaven. I was like you are. I had nothing against facial hair or not having it. I had facial hair. I had something similar to this minus the mustache. And when I went to driving school, I shaved it, because I had to, and I was fine with that. But yeah, once that one driver found a loophole, man, that caused a stir up. I do remember that. But yeah, I totally forgot about that. You said with the religious purposes, totally made me think of that story.
Yep.
And I mean, like comparing everything too from like then to now. I mean, I'm pretty sure you and I both have talked about this before, Luke, and that's like it's kind of a not an honor, but like not a privilege. I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's kind of nice to know that like we were the last like generation of UPS drivers coming in that got to learn the job without GPS, without that, like, because now it's really, they made it idiot proof, almost idiot proof to do this job now. And like that's what was so funny about like when they were gonna start me like out there on the route. They were like, "Oh, do you know that area?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I used to cover it a lot." And like he's like, "Oh, great, so I don't gotta worry about sending a supervisor out with you." And I was like, "Why would you worry about that at all? Like anybody could do this job now." It's the GPS tells you where to go. Even delivery points, like if a customer has a tote at the end of the driveway, the delivery point is set to where the tote is. It's not even to the house that's a quarter mile down the driveway. Like they made it so easy to do this job now. And like, you tell the story like you've told. I don't know if you ever told it on here, but you told me the story before about, when they've sent you out blind, they said, here's your diet, and you're going out with your friends Rand McNally and Jim Mapko.
Yeah.
And it's just like kids these days doing this job don't even know what those two things
Wouldn't
are.
even be able to comprehend it.
Because they grew up on technology and
Right.
GPS.
Right. Well,
No, I was just all I was going to say. I was just I was kind of
Exactly.
laughing, but
yeah. Well, that story that David is referencing.
sorry, I didn't mean. You're good. You're good. I was going to throw in with the idiot proof thing, like Dave said. That was another thing when you guys were on strike when you did that in '97. That's what made me nervous when that kept getting brought up now, because I thought, like, back then you had to have area knowledge, and you couldn't just put somebody out there, even if they could drive a box truck and knew all, because area knowledge was a thing, and now it's a lot of that's taken away.
Right.
But that's all I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What to go with that story that David referenced is they were sending me out on a route blind, and this is before technology. This was back on paper, and I got in the package car by myself, no supervisor, no one next to me. And back then we didn't even have jump seats. You sat on you found one of the last stops of the day, and that was your seat. You brought it up to the front of the, into the cab, and hopefully a box like of Omaha steaks or something like that. That was nice styrofoam and sort of comfortable. But anyway, so they sent me out on the route by myself, and I get to my first stop, open up the back door, and my truck was loaded front to back, side to side, top to bottom. And as soon as I opened up the door, packages are falling out. And I had no idea where I was going. I was on paper. And so I just put everything back in, shut the back door, drove the package car back to the center, and quit. And I told them, I said, listen, I quit. And I walked out, and I was in my uniform. I walked out and drove right to FedEx. Right? And I said, hey, I just quit UPS. Are you guys hiring? And they said no. And so I said, okay. So I went home, and later that day I got a phone call from the center manager and saying, look, we screwed up. We should never have done that to you. We were wrong. And listen, tomorrow we're going to send you out with 2 supervisors. Their names are Randy and Jim. I go, Randy, who's Randy and Jim? He goes, Randy McNally and Jim Mapko. And then, center manager's laughing. He goes, no. Seriously, we'll send you out with the supervisor. So, yeah, that's, but now, like Dave is saying, almost anybody can do this job because it's right there on the diet for you. And, again, I always reference back in the day, UPS hired just a certain quality of drivers. Right, because they knew what was required of that driver. It wasn't just anybody could do it. It took a certain breed of animal to be able to do what we did back then.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, let me ask too, because we had brought up, because Dave and I talked about this a lot recently, and when we had you on before, it was, I think, it wasn't long after that it had happened, but we, Dave and I had been bringing up pension stuff a lot in recent, I'd say recent months at this point, brought up things. So, and we had talked about, we had brought that up again, because we had known that, that they had got the pension, Biden had signed that bill and they had got the pension restored. Just so, like, that was the thing, like the initial feeling of that when you found that out. Were you confident that was did they tell you that it would eventually get restored, or did you think that you were going to be shorted on that, even though you weren't, you had your 30 years and all that?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be cut. It was cut 29%. I thought I was going to have to live with that for the rest of my life. There was never any thought of it being restored. I guess that's the one thing that I'm very thankful about with COVID, right? Because if it wasn't for COVID, there wouldn't have been that American Rescue Plan that was put forward, right, by the Democrats and signed into law by Joe Biden. And attached to that American Rescue Plan, where everybody around the country got whatever that check was for, $1,600 or whatever, we all got it. Attached to that bill, that American Rescue Plan, was a bailout of unions, including Local 294, which is what David and I are part of. And so I thought I was going to have to live with that. Now, I will also say this. When I retired, I got a great pension. Make no mistake about it. It was a great pension. And I worked hard for it. But when they cut the 29%, I have to admit it was still a good pension. Not great, but it was still a good pension, better than most.
Right.
So, it as my wife and I like to joke about, it took away our fun money. The 29% was the fun money, where we were going to set it aside for whatever we wanted to do, whether it was take trips, whatever.
Right.
But even with the cut pension, I had no problem paying my mortgage, paying my electric bill, putting food on the table, so on and so forth. So, I'm grateful, beyond grateful, that they restored it, and then also got a lump sum check for the several years. I think it was 4.5 years of months. 4.5 years of whatever, 12 months, whatever 4.5 years is. That was all. I got a lump sum for all that had been taken out of my pension. So that 29% was, not only restored, but I got back pay. Also, and that was a nice chunk of change. I must admit. And I know David's happy about it because it's in the will. So he might see some of it.
Jesus. Oh man.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Man.
So I'll also say that was probably like one of the saddest days when I got that letter saying, that they were going to cut it, because when I retired, I went to Syracuse, signed on the dotted line saying, Vic, we're going to give you this amount of money for the rest of your life, and when you pass away, your wife gets half of that for the rest of hers. They were presuming I would go first. I don't know why, but they must know my wife. But anyway, so when I got the letter saying that they were cutting it, that was sad. That was a sad day. But
especially when you worked 30 years,
right,
thinking that you were going to get it all.
Especially not a year earlier, they had promised me this is what you're going to get for the rest of your life, and then not even a year later, the letters start coming saying, well, we have to cut your pension because if we don't, we will run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And not exactly sure, but Luke's been having technical difficulties, it feels like, all night. He's been a little delayed on us here, and now he's completely gone from the screen. So
All right.
I'm not too.
What do you want to talk about, Dave?
I'm not too sure. The Rangers suck.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, but yeah,
Let me just adjust here.
yeah. So
All right, we'll see if we can get Luke back.
yeah. We'll see if Luke hops back on here in a minute. Him having technical
Yeah,
difficulties.
who knows what's happening down in West Virginia?
West by God, Virginia.
West by God, Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those mountain ranges.
Yeah. I don't know. Do they have running water down there yet? Electric?
Running down the hills.
Yeah, running down the hills. Yeah, there you go. Well, hopefully we'll get them back.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully we will.
Yep.
No, but I mean, yeah, that was like, it was just such a big thing, and I mean, like, I've, to talk about going back to the beginning there when we were talking about, like, when really was there a change? I know you said, it just seems like it just kept adding up and adding up and adding up.
Yeah.
But then, like, we've talked about before about how, just morale boost, like, at the centers is obviously a positive thing. And when, like some people have said, like when they stopped handing out turkeys to, the families for Thanksgiving, like,
Yep.
people recognize that obviously, and they're going to be like, "Well, this is okay. Like, you don't care about us anymore," kind of thing. And then, like, think about morale boost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't had a driver, older driver, senior driver who is in feeders now, even say to me too, because he's like, "Oh yeah, you got off that route," and I was like, it's just, there's some things that it's hard to deal with out there on that route. And then, like, he told me, it's like, yeah, but back in my day, it was always, hey, check on this person on the way through, check on that person,
Right.
check on that and whatnot, and it's just, it's not like that anymore. It's like some people just want to take and not give,
Yeah.
Yep. And, it's like,
Yeah. Well, I had a route like that where the driver next to me, almost without fail, every day would give an ETA that was probably about 2 hours later than his actual ETA. So when the center would send out that message around 3:30, what's your ETA back? He would get done at 6:30, but would put his ETA for 8:30. And then I'd get the message, Vic, we need you to go help out this driver because his ETA is after the feeders leave, and it's like, and then I would have to prolong my day and go help him or go to him, and 90% of the time he didn't need the help.
right.
He was just slacking. So, yeah. Yep. So it not only affected him, but, it just spilled over onto me. And then, of course, I get, an attitude or whatever towards him. And, it just becomes ugly.
Right. And you don't want to deal with that.
Right.
And, like, I don't know if that's why, like, it's just so relieving to be out there on that new route now, because it's just, I know everybody around me in the loops I have to go through to get back to the building. Like, everybody's solid.
Yeah.
Like, everyone gets the job done, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then I mean, whatever, I might have to pick up a letterbox because the one driver's done early. So what?
Yeah.
That's cake. But, like, yeah.
Yep. Bye, Luke. When I was in the early part of my career in the late 80s, early 90s, we were given safe driving awards every year. It wasn't just the milestone years of 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, or whatever. It was every year we would be able to pick a gift out of the catalog, obviously based on, how many years it was would determine the expense of the gift, how expensive it was or how nice it was. If it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 years, obviously you don't, get a nice gift. But as you got into the 10s, teens, 20s, whatever, the gifts got really nice, from bicycles to, golf clubs. And yeah, but that was, you felt appreciated. You felt recognized. You felt like they were glad to have you there.
That morale boost.
Yeah. I can remember. Yeah, at least once a week we'd have breakfast, coffee, donuts, whatever, bagels. At least once a week. Normally on Fridays, right? But that was a weekly thing. Not
crazy.
Not just somebody's retiring.
Yearly now.
Right. Somebody's retiring. Let's get let's get a cake. Who wants cake at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. No, like you said, whether it's someone's retirement or whatnot, that's the only time we'll see it now, I feel like.
Right. But you felt appreciated.
Yeah.
And again, I can't speak to what it's like today. But, in the early parts of my career, I felt appreciated by UPS for the hard work. And make no mistake about it, it is hard work. But I just felt appreciated. Which then, of course, your morale's lifted and you want to go out and do the
You want to do a good
the
job.
best you can. Not just barely getting by, but
And
do
drag
the
your
best you
feet,
can and provide that service to the customers, because that's what they're paying for. That's all UPS has to offer is service, right? They don't make a product. They don't build a product. They don't, all they sell is service. And, and you felt like providing that service.
Yeah.
But now, you could speak to it. Luke can speak to it. Fortunately, I don't have to anymore.
Yeah, no, that's something we don't see that anymore. Really, rarely at all. I mean, maybe they'll throw a pizza party during peak, but that would be it in the evening time. For drivers, when you get back home, you'll get a pizza party. Not breakfast every Friday. And hey, thank you guys so much for your hard work and all that. We get corporate safety messages now and telling us how to live our lives outside of this place.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. Yeah, David was telling me about that earlier today. It's like, make sure you don't look at your cell phones or screens, 1 hour before bedtime. It's like, what?
Yeah, what?
Well, I know why we didn't get the message back in my day, because we didn't have cell phones or screens.
But then I'm staring at their dyad screen all day long and just like, thanks.
Yeah, that message was a good
Luke,
one.
you back?
I'm back. I'm getting thrown through the loop here. I don't know. It's my internet is connected, but this, I don't know. I feel like this laptop is pretty old. Its sole purpose is podcasting, because it had sat on the shelf for years until 2020 it made a comeback. But I'm back for now. We'll see if it how long it holds up for. But
hold on. I mean, I was going to ask you, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, the thing I thought about most, it had been answered, and that was like the pension stuff, and I think really, I mean, with the stuff like when we were talking about the uniform appearance and putting a shirt up there for somebody that had a shirt that looked like they slept in it and rolled out of bed. And I think that question kind of, I feel like in my head I was playing it. I was like, the time period, I was like thinking, yeah, they were just, it's like when I watch football now, and football is still a physical sport, but it isn't the same. It's not the same. I don't want to say, it's like terrible to say it's not as dangerous, but I mean, it's like when I played, and I'm not even, I mean, I'll be 41 next month. But when I played, we just were taught to see what we hit, keep our head up. But yeah, it's so funny thinking about, like, they knew what concussions were, but nobody really knew what I mean, it was just like, hey, you good? Yeah. All right, get in there. It's fine.
Yeah. How many fingers am I holding up? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Say grab I literally, that's how I was kind of thinking. I was like, it was just like anything else, just with the way, stuff has gotten more lax altogether, and not. So yeah, I don't think I needed to go in too much on the
I have a
union side
question
because
for
it's
Luke.
self-explanatory. What's that?
Yeah. Do they celebrate Founders Day in your centers? Again, sometime in August, I think it is. Do they recognize it?
They recognize it, but I don't think they. I was off. I was on vacation this past year for Founders Day, so I don't know if they got anything, like if they got food or anything. But they will recognize it. They'll always say something about it, but they don't really. It's not. But like Dave was saying, it was funny because when I came back in from being disconnected, when you were Dave said the thing about the pizza parties, I laughed because I thought about they didn't even. There was one Christmas a few years back where they didn't give us anything, but they threw it. They gave breakfast for the PVDs when they were done. So like all the seasonal delivery people got breakfast. They didn't even give us one.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, really,
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't
the only
think
thing they would do. Yeah, like the only thing they would do really at our building is just like talk about it, and then there'll be like, nature's whatever, granola bars, bananas, oranges, clementines, apples, whatever, and that would be it. With a table with a nice UPS tablecloth on it is how they would do it.
Jim Casey would absolutely
out in the garage.
Yeah.
Jim
Rolling
Casey,
his
aside
grave.
from the fact of the time, I mean, aside from like the technological stuff, if you put down to the brass tacks of Jim Casey was brought back to life for 5 minutes, and you didn't mention anything of all the stuff we know now with obviously following trace, dyad boards, all that stuff. If you would just say to him, be like, listen, somebody paid for an overnight shipping package to your premium service, and we got it 15 minutes late, and we're just not going to deliver it. Can you imagine what he would be like? What? What do you mean you're not going to deliver it? Like, I couldn't imagine what he would say. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
but that being said, they do it here. I say it a lot of episodes. I'm good. Like my management team in my building, with the reach we have with the podcast and people we've had on and friends of the podcast that are drivers in other centers, I consider myself pretty lucky because I'd hear some shit out there, and they kind of do what they.
Yeah.
I feel like they do what they can, but it's not really their call. You know what I mean? It's above them really with all that. But that just got cut off. That from the turkeys to breakfast to do like when I preloaded. So in the 2007 to 10 era, I mean they would take us out to breakfast at Cracker Barrel or one of the diners almost a couple times a month. Like that's unheard of now. There's no way they would do that. It just was like supervisor would take us out, just put it on the card. But no, I do appreciate you. I know you're up there for Dave's off and it's his birthday coming up, and I appreciate you taking the time to come back on here and
Yes, sir.
and chat with us up, and the listeners as well, because I know they'll appreciate it. And but yeah, I didn't have anything else on my end, Dave.
Anytime I'm visiting, which is like once every couple of months, we're up here, for a week. Anytime. Because I love talking about the company, because with all its problems, with all, even if it's heading downward, south, whatever, it's rare that you'll hear me say a bad word about the company. They provided a good living for me, my wife, my kids, and even now the union, with the pension, they work you hard, but they do take care of you, and financially, and of course with the benefits. So, yep, I love talking about the company. you know.
Yeah, I'd agree with you 100%.
And that's also one thing too, is like we've never badmouthed the company on here. And like that was a thing, like when we first started this too, like we would get some messages from people. It's like, oh, you guys really need to let go and talk. Yeah, and like talk so much smack about them. It's like that's what you have at your building. Like
Yes,
you hear that
every
at your
center
building
has
every
it.
morning
You don't
from
need to
drivers.
listen to a podcast.
Like
here.
you're not going to hear it here. Like we're not here to do that. You know, we're here to be positive in most way. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, well, every center has their whiners, their crybabies, the ones who want to get paid the most but do the less, or do the least.
Absolutely.
How dare you ask me to work 8 hours and 5 minutes, Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have them.
Right.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Yep. We all know one, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's one in every center.
For sure.
Right.
So,
At least one.
At least
one.
At least one.
Yeah. And then they promote them to on-car supervisors. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, Luke, anything else over there, buddy?
I'm good, brother. I'm good this way.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Dad, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Chatting this one up here with us for this episode. Also, quickly too, right? Like I mentioned at the top with the Patreons. Listen, if you want to be a part of the Patreon family and help support this silly show that Luke and I do, you can go to the link that's in the episode notes of this episode, patreon.com/AITDpod, or also the Discord as well. We also have the Discord chat up and running. Come hang out with us, guys. Everyone's cool in there. Everyone's chatting it up. Everybody's a good time. So, as we're saying now, peak season's underway. Everybody, be safe out there.
That's right.
I'm Dave. My dad, Vic. I didn't mention this at the top. 30 years, 25 years safe driving, Circle of Honor, sitting right here too. I should have put that in the introduction, but right over my head.
Yeah, another proud moment at UPS was joining the Circle of Honor. That's just an incredible feat to be as many hours you're on the road under all kinds of conditions, not only weather-wise, but, you have issues at home, you have, just physical issues, whatever, all these different things. And if you're able to drive safely for that many years, God bless you. That was a highlight, one of the highlights of my career, and truly an honor of my career to be named into the Circle of Honor.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I should have mentioned that at the top. That's my apologies.
Yeah, you should have. But I'll brag about it now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, he mentioned the shit piss come brown one. He made sure to get that one in there. That overshadowed. That was that's your podcast, dude. I'll say, Vic, that's got to be top. If that's not a number one, that's been one of the most requests, like one of the biggest sayings of this podcast. So you've got that on here, but you do have the Circle of Water, and I know it is an honor. So that's a good feat.
Yes. And guys, like I said, stay safe out there, right? Again, I'm Dave, my dad Vic, Luke, everybody. We'll see you all next week.
Later, everybody.